Okay, so before we have a wee chat, let's look at our Briefra, Shanukal, and Nahna this week. So this will be really handy, especially if you have an oral to do for your summer test. So Screwdig is to investigate. Okay, so it's one we don't see too often. So obviously the way it is there is how it would look in the Amshire Chacha. But then San Amshire Loyrock, it would be screw the in. Okay, so screw the in and then screw the. So again, it's just one we're not really used to seeing, but like I suppose it's good to be different. Yeah. It's good to be different. So, I'm just trying to think of like different verbs that you could use. The next one then is Dane and she taggart air. So she makes reference to. Now, if you wanted to change that to it makes reference to, you would just change she to Shay. Okay, so Dane and Shay taggart air. He or it makes reference to, and obviously that would also mean he makes reference to. Now, and it doesn't change. They mean the same thing. It's just whatever way you interpret it. So I think that was a really good one because obviously I know you were saying poetry is going to come up in your summer test. So I think poetry, or I think that's a really good phrase for poetry because obviously they're always referencing something. And then our Nahanakancha is Credge a no no credge. So believe it or not. Great one for an oral, okay? Credge a no no credge. And it's a very well-known Nahanakancha, but in fairness, I haven't heard it used in ages, so it's time to bring it back. Okay, but Inishtam, so tell me yourself, so Conisad Zyrig live on Tacht and Shikatsa. So how have you been getting on, and do we know any more concrete information if we screw do on Taurig? Okay, so where I have here, I have a bit of coca, right? Because I want to look at the film techniques, okay? I have Antaric here, but what I plan on doing then is I'm going to pop out and have a look a bit at Spalpeen Faunuk. Just obviously won't be like getting you to write anything about it, but just Spalpeen Faunuk, and then I have revision of the oral. So, and I've Imra Gertha this week. So I just wrote that there in case I forgot to say it to you. Okay, right. So let's go back here then. Right, let's have a look at Caucamillish. So as always, right, if you're learning any prose piece, you will be focusing on like the story, right? So if you know the story inside out, you actually can really answer any question because it's about focusing on, like, first of all, you're like, okay, the story never changes. Like, right. So Caucamillish is Caucamillish. The story is the story. It's just about molding and shaping the story to suit the question. So for example, with this mind map here, right? So it says make comparisons between Paul and Catherine and what type of people they are. So we've said here that Paul is sinantha, which is a great word, innocent, and Kanchuk, he's chatty. Then we are saying that Catherine is mi oinoch, impatient, agus cruel. So that's perfect. But now we need to give examples of where we see Catherine being impatient, of where we see Paul being Kanchuk, okay? So if you can just, now again, this can be shorthand. I don't expect you to have like perfect Irish doing this. But if you can now like even just, so actually, do you know what I'm going to do? Because there's only two of you. So Gracie, I'm going to give you Paul. So basically, Sinantha, innocent. Where do you see that he is innocent? Okay, and if you can write it, Shrieve Saguelga, that would be brilliant. And then Leah, I'm going to give you Catherine. Okay, so I want you to then tell me, how is Catherine impatient? Where do we see it? How is she cruel? Where do we see it? Okay. And again, it just has to be shorthand, guys. It doesn't need to be like full on reams and reams of stuff. This is just to kind of program you into, when you think of Caucamillish, you're like, straight away, no matter what type of question I ask you, you're going to be able to answer it. Okay. Because you'll know the information. And remember, so much of the information for, or all of the OLS for the pros and the filiocht is going like 90% of the marks is going for your OLS. Okay, so I'm going to give you 5 minutes on that, and then we're going to have a look at film techniques in Cockamillish. So like with regards Paul and him being Sinanthal, like so real innocent, kind of innocent, naive. Where do we see this really clearly that he's like, he's very innocent, like, and he doesn't really understand. Yeah, so on a wall here. So obviously Crawlock is a big team, okay, within Cockamillish. So yeah, they're two of the big ones. So the Peish, the Cockamillish, the Braig, okay, so telling the lie, Fween Ryark, Tabin with, then Inyog, okay. So then even Gracie with the Kanchuk, with him being Kanchuk. So what does he tell Catherine when he says, so he's given her all this information. So what does he tell her? What are the different pieces of information he tells her? And then Leah, so how do we see Catherine being me oinuk, so impatient, has no patience? Where do we see this? So very good about the impatient with the mum, took her fod. Yeah, come on. And what I will say as well is this is great use of your Gaelga, Colleen. So really, really good use of your Irish. So like, and that's what I'd say, like, even though your sentences mightn't be perfect, like I can see, so say let's just hypothetically say that this is a test. Like I can see what you're trying to say and I can see the keywords that you're using and you will get marks for that. Okay. So Quinnigy Earth, keep it up for sure. Okay, so like whole, you know, Tushe Conchfui asthma atho ega, so the asthma that he has. So for she asthma nor vishe she blina de or she blina dish broner. So he got asthma when he was 6 years old. Agus vishe Aaron radio e Conchfui, he was on the radio talking about it. Agus an shin you know, to is ega cad é nó cadíad na rair table with an inyog. So he knows what view is outside of the window. Okay. And then obviously that's the first altercation we have between Catherine and Paul, because she says, no, Neil, you know, what did she say? Cad we on loch, you know, to loch more mealsachan. There's a big, huge lake. And he says, look, and he starts getting panicked because he doesn't understand and he doesn't know where he is and why he's wrong. Okay, which makes him panic. Okay. Right. Now I do want to show you just, and I will upload this. Where is it now? To the drive. Okay, I thought I had it up there already, but I don't. So when we talk about Cócamillis, a lot of people don't talk about the technique scanóniachta, right? So again, if you think Cócamillis might rear its head in your summer test, you could make like just a couple of noti. It doesn't have to be like your whole answer doesn't have to be based on these points, but just the like it would be important to reference them. Okay, now look, it'll be interesting to see, does it come up on the Leaving Cert this year? It came up in the mock and people kind of freaked out a little bit because they're like, oh, what if it comes up in the real thing? But it hasn't been seen for a long, long time talking about film techniques, right? So we have shot fada, mian shot, and shot tian. Now, shot tan is a close-up. Shot fada is like a long, I don't know the film technical terms, so like a long shot, and then mian shot is just when it has like the two people within the frame. Okay. So Storhor is another good keyword, and Storhor is director. So the director uses a long shot at the start of the film when we see the train coming into the station. Okay, agus an úsar sin tá shot fada on Eranzera. So there's a long shot at the end as well when we see the train leaving the station, ag fágáil on stáisiún. And then it is the middle shots and the shots when Catherine is reading the book and Paul is talking. So, you know, when it goes over and back, okay. And then we have obviously close-ups. So like when we talk about the close-ups, obviously they're focusing in on one specific thing, which is meant to evoke, or you know, the audience, the Luchtwaken, are meant to feel something from these like close-ups or whatever, right? So the Cócamillis Bons Arag Paul, so Paul's pink cake. So this shows Paul's innocence. So Sinantocht. Okay, so Sinantha is innocent, and then Sinantocht is his innocence, right? So this shows Paul's innocence. Now, Paul ag iha. We all know this scene of the close-up of his bail, okay, Nora Vishe geha. So a veil ushkult, so his mouth is opened on bia ag prishlinoch as a veil agus ag slugga on cafe, okay, and slurping the coffee. Another one we see kind of at the beginning when he comes into the carriage. So Chusa, Catherine, agus Paul in Eirig Fuin Mord. So their feet entangling under the table. And then Anoler Paul, so Paul's inhaler. So this is a symbol of splachus, of dependence, agus the hinnis of sickness or illness. Agus an aspa chuachta atá aige, and the lack of not communication, the lack of power that he has, okay? So, you know, it's din a lo ceal, okay? He's a very vulnerable person, gone down our bit. And so these are just other film techniques that you could mention. So the background noise, right? On cool, foom, cool meaning back, foom meaning sound. So background noise. So we have the mechanical sound of the trains. Okay, it's not a peaceful sound. And then Paul egg anolu. I think that word or that phrase there, so egg anolu is a great one to know, and that's breathing. So Paul breathing. So obviously we can hear it, right? It's a sound within the pisa. So we feel uncomfortable listening to Paul's so shortened breath, especially at the end, yeah, when he's having an asthma attack. And then we have Ancoro, which is another sound of conversation. So Catherine isn't trying to speak with Paul, so she keeps turning the pages of the book impatiently, with no patience, right? And then Ach Iron Lovella, Paul ag Conch stad, he's non-stop chatting, agus línan sé Karosh the Laturin, and he fills the carriage with noise, agus ní hicken sé will cunis ag tastal o Catherine. So he doesn't understand that he needs, or sorry, that Catherine wants silence. Now, came for Martha sé dal, istina dal okay? Really important if you're writing about Cócamillis is to always mention the fact that he's blind very early on, because if you don't mention it early on, you might forget. So, Corda, like, again, that's not a whole sample answer what I'm showing you. They're just kind of bits about the technique canoniocta, for just in case that would be in the question. And like, all you need to do is kind of have referenced it. So if you're learning off a sample answer of Cócamillis, you just need to figure out, okay, well, where will I put in my my film techniques, or you might reference a little bit here, a little bit there, and so on. Okay, so back to here now. So I'll come out of that and go back here. So, do you know what, Cén Tommy? I might just skip because I want to get to, I'll do Spalpeen instead, right, than doing another Cócamillis one. So we'll do Anthara here and then I'll go to Spalpeen. So first of all, I want you to tell me, what do we know about Anthara here? What do we already know from this year about the poem Anthara here? So we would have done a piece of Björg Lumpsa with me, but what else do we know about Anthara here? Whether it be Uckerfuckle, no Froza, just even Fui Filla, write down now in this box here all the information you have about Anthara here before we do the next task. So Gracie, did you do any of it with me? Maybe you weren't here. Okay, well, actually, Gracie, if you haven't done Anthara here with me, will you write in this box, even if it's not done with me or at school, will you write in this box, because we're going to go on and do Spalpeen Fánach next, all you know about Spalpeen Fánach? We'll do it that way. So whether it be keywords, so like if you have any keywords to Gaelga or Froza or like main things you should know. And then Leah, you can keep going with An Tarac here. So we're just gonna split the two down the middle. Because we'll be doing a bit of Spalpeen then. On a what? Yeah. So very good so far. So Leah, we might even do this bit down here now. So can you split for me, and you can actually write them in these boxes down here, Leah, as well, if you wish. What happens in each verse in An Tarac here? And Gracie, this is very good. I'm watching what you're saying as well. So it's all very good. So we're going to look at something similar with you as well. So you just keep going. Okay, so Leah, I want you to keep going at that, right? So I want you to finish up and then I'll come back, and any words you don't know, Leah, I want you to just write them in English and then I'll come back and fill in the blanks. So Gracie, what I want to look at now, I'm going to actually show you what's in this the Spalpeen Fánach folder, right? So how to navigate your way around it. So this is what I've included in it, but I'm going to kind of tell you what to focus on. So this is a really good handout because it focuses on all the different keywords. Okay, so now these are kind of harder ones. These are like real higher level ones, but there is some good ones in there. This is handy because it literally, if it'll open for me, it tells you basically what it means in English, which can always be helpful. Now this PowerPoint is quite good because I break everything down. Okay, so you'll see like I have lots of keywords in here as well, right? So the cooler on dawn, right? And then I break it down into all the different images. So Eva, hen, do, tree, kahar, then the mohuchon. And obviously if you're getting a full like 30 mark question on Spalpeen Fánach, the meter is probably going to be asked as well. So I do just say to my students when on Spalpeen Fánach comes up, like if you just learn the stuff off about the meter, you'll be fine. Because that's normally the 9 mark question. And then I just have, oh yeah, so there's some more uckerfuckle then at the end. But I wanted to show you this. So if we're talking about on Spalpeen Fánach, obviously it's split up into 3 verses, right? So what goes on in each verse? So similar to Antárach here, it's like we need to know kind of what happens in each verse. Because remember, the poem's in front of you. So then we just need to be able to talk about each verse, right? And then we can use the quotes that are in front of us. So in Keith, now this is obviously really simplified down, but it's just to help you get your head around it. So the Spalpeen had a hard life outside, working when it was wet and cold. Okay, so that's why he was always so he is angry with the English and he is happy to go fighting to overthrow the English. So an ruig achar is to overthrow. Okay. Tá noire go bhfuil sé bio bocht. He is embarrassed that he is bio bocht is so poor. Okay. So it's like really poor. Now, Dara versa. So Vishe ag Tashtel, Timple Natira ag Lorg Ibra. So he's traveling around the country looking for work. Okay. Vishe Brodul, Mar Vishe Gama ag on upper firma. So he's proud, remember, okay, he's really good at the work that he does, all of that kind of thing. Because he is good at the farm work. So he's like, you know, there's no Spalpeen, like, so he kind of said, even though I am a Spalpeen, I'm the best Spalpeen. Okay, so even though I am a slave, I'm the best one. So Vishe níos fear no na Spalpeeni ella. So he's better than all the other Spalpeenis, so slaves. And then in the last one, so this is when he's at the market, okay, and he's hired. So a farmer comes along and he hires him. So to Noira so he's embarrassed. So Noira is a good mohuchon to know. Is fualesh dulgadi on marga hirola, so he hates going to the hiring market. Talking to Fermuri Mora, Eragapel, Eg Fake and Janus, Ernest Spalpini. So that's a really important line. So the big farmers come on their horses looking down on the Spalpeen, on the slaves. And then Neil Mas Madra Egna Fermuri, okay, Ernest Spalpini. So they have no respect for them, okay. So, you know, they at Ifri on Willem Hiralta, that's from the poem. At Ifri on Willem Hiralta. So asking, am I hired? And V Ernest Spalpini bochta a shul gedi on farm. So the poor slaves then have to walk to the farm alongside the farmer on his big horse, okay, through wind, rain, all different types of weather. August V na Fermuri Huas Eragopel. So that's what I just said there. And then the farmers are up on their horses. Okay. So, obviously a lot to digest there. So again, it's just really about talking through what he's feeling, what he's going through, but there should be loads there, Gracie. I think this is really good as well. So these phrases, I'll show you. Okay, so this is actually an answer sheet from a thing that I did in school, but these are actually correct, right? So I thought these were nice phrases that you could use as well when you're studying. All right, so that's all up there for you. Okay, right, Leah, let's see how you've been getting on. Okay, and Gracie, if you have any questions on any of that, just write it here in your chat box and I'll answer them. So iver sé hain bhí fermior ag rower sa fork, bhí spóils in a love. Perfect, yeah. So then we hear the fuam. So fuam, the fuam diasconach or diasconach, can ever pronounce that word in Irish, and it means the rasping sound of the spade. Okay, so we hear fuam in verse hain. Now, we verse dóbhí na fur ag balu is what you're trying to say, right? So I'll write it here in brackets, ag balu. Famine, and luan sin fill a dahan in the famine, yeah. So agus so an amaniarig, yeah. Maar being and came for maar being on green egg tatnum. So the sun is shining and it's shining on the seaweed, making it red. I verse in 3 mano an ilon ag ober le chéile ar an trá, ionach ar fad. So that's exactly it, and they're in their pools of water, etc., etc. So anwa ar fad. And then so I verse car vi fumer bod, yeah. So namadi rova. Oh, sorry, I'm writing in the wrong one. So namadi rova. Okay. Agus obviously they're coming home ag teach doáile tar éis lá ag íscrocht, so after a day of fishing. And I suppose it shows, so remember in Antara here it starts the beginning of the day and then it ends at the end of the day. So from the start to the end of the day. So it shows kind of a full day in the life of the people in Ilan Aaron and like how basic and simple it was, okay? But like how they lived off the land and they depended on the land to make them an income and obviously for them to live off. Okay, ionach ar fad chalíní. And like I said, if there's any certain things you need on like your poetry or that, you probably have notes coming out your ears now at this stage. But if there isn't anything in particular you do need, you can always get me on Voxer. I check it every day. Okay. Now, I'm actually going to skip these. These are just exam questions. So I was just showing you that basically in a nutshell, exam questions, even if you put them all side by side year by year, they are so similar. So that's why I say if you are able to learn off a sample answer, it's the dream because you can just tweak it then to suit the answer or to suit the way the question is worded, but you are still getting the correct information in. Okay, but now we are going to have a look and we are going to do a bit of actually, you know what, I'm going to leave the wheel for now because I'm going to see how I get on. So first of all, we are going to answer these questions. I'm actually just going to create a box here now because I want to see how careful you will be with your tenses. So I want you to answer these 3 questions. You can see I've numbered them. They are really important because it is testing your tenses. You've been doing great writing sa Gaeilge already this evening, so there should be no problem to ye. So, cad rinne tú ag an deire seachtaine seachata. Okay, I should probably put in there if I need to be very technical. Cad dhéanaan tú ag an deire seachtaine agus cad dhéanfí tú ag an deire seachtaine seochugan. Okay, so will you write in your box for me now, how would you answer those 3 questions? Don't need to be long, just maybe go no 3 Alberts. So 2 or 3 sentences. So remember, we need to be really sure here with our tenses. This is what exactly now what I'm looking at. Come on. So even if you want to move now to the second one, so cad dhéanann tú ag an deir seachtaine, so this is the one I'll be interested to see. And sometimes they say as well, like in an oral, you know, sometimes when they ask you, so say for let's just take cad rinne tú ag an deir seachtaine sicáte, and you might say, oh, an deir seachtaine sicáte, you know, making sure, like, and you can even be like this, the examiner, like, you know, past tense, because it's recorded, but as in like it's not video recorded, it's just sound recorded. So, and they'll probably nod at you and be like, yeah, yeah, you're in the right tense. Just sometimes we need to, you know, double check. Um, so just be careful with may in the present tense, is all I'd say. It's what we look out for. So yeah, the only time we see may in the amateur lawyer hook is like tá may, but everything else, the may is built into the word. Okay, so we would have done a bit of work on this at earlier stages of the year. So déanam, glanum, charum. Okay. Okay, Anawa Gracie. So be careful now with future tense. So I will go, Leah, I will go to the beach. Cén bríothar, I will go. So I will, come on. Ítach. So yeah, I always think so future, for a lot of the times it's fee, so f. So F for future, but then obviously if it's two syllable, it might be OE. So can OE may, I will buy. And then obviously you have your 11 irregular verbs, so like rockig. Yeah, rockig catches a lot of people out actually. And they know like hui and they know cham, but Rocky can throw people sometimes. Okay, right. Your last task now. So we're going to do this task. Oh, sorry, didn't mean to run on there. So we're going to do this last task now for 10 minutes. Okay. So I'm actually going to split it here, right? So this is in Morgartaha. As we always say, guys, where you're going to grab your points for your traffic tours is you're going to get it on your breher that you use. So let's keep it in the Amsher Katja. Now, I know sometimes teachers might do it in the Amsher Loicroc. If you want to do it in the Amsher Loicroc, that's totally fine. You're not going to get like penalized any marks for that. I just always put them in the Amsher Katja. I just find it easier that way. Okay, so you choose what tense you want it in, but just keep it in that tense. We want to see Nahanakancha, okay, keywords, right? But lots of different verbs is the main one here. And then obviously if you can throw in the Mokanilok, like even in one of them, okay, now you wouldn't be able to do it in all of the pictures. So Gracie, I'm going to give you the first two to do, right? So follow these instructions. So Gracie, I'm going to give you the first two to do. Then Leah, I'm going to give you the second two. But then the last two, I'm going to get Gracie to do this one, and Leah, I want you to do this one. Okay, and I need to create another box for you. Oh no, I don't. Okay, so let's try and get this. And we have, what is it now? Okay, so we have like not even 8 minutes. So let's see what we can produce in 8 minutes. So let's, for now, just to break us in, because I know we haven't done this in a while, let's aim for 3 to 4 sentences. For your summer test, we should be aiming for 4 sentences. So Gracie, the first 2 pictures, Lee is going to be the second 2 pictures, and then we're going to split it. Lee is the last picture and Gracie is number 5. So try and say to yourself, right, what other verb can I use here? Okay, so I'm looking here and I can see lots of different verbs, which is good. So a good thing to try and do as well is like add in Nahna Cancha where we can. So like Chamala Shin, as well as that Gana Hill and Willa without delay. So for example, like Honig on Tuharkar, Gana Hill and Willa. So the ambulance came without delay, Gana Hill and Willa. Guthoben hui siad or shroch siad gadi on timpstags egandal, right? So suddenly they arrived at A&E. Okay, I know this sounds so dramatic, but it works. So just loads of that. Even, I mean, the thing is, you don't need to know loads, but even if you knew like 5 or 6, it would really help, I feel. Just again, and it bulks up your answer too. And Múntóirí Gaeilge love Nahna Cancha. Okay, so I promise it'll get you a few extra brownie points. So when you're studying for this Chalini, I really just want you, like, obviously when you go through your Shras, like even try yourself of like maybe just writing down verbs and then using those verbs to help you like create sentences. And then when you kind of get comfortable with that, then take away the verb page altogether and see then can you do it on your own, you know? So like you can do it like a step-by-step process. And what I would say is, even though V is a verb, we want to try and minimize the use of it for the Shra pictures. Okay, so we want to try and use as many different verbs because that's where we're going to get our marks. We're going to get our marks on using on variety. Okay, we will still get marks if we use V. Absolutely, we will if we're making sense. But we're going to get the most marks by using as much variety as we possibly can. So I actually amn't going to give you any Obervala this week. But what I think I'm actually going to get you to do is, if you wish, okay, and if you have time, is on Voxer, I might actually get you to read out this for me. Now, you can have a script in front of you if you want, but read this out for me from like Pictor Hain to Pictor Ashe. Okay, if you wish, if you get time, right? Especially because I know you said your orals are coming up. Obviously, they're going to be done before your week of exams. So maybe we could do that this week for Misha and on Boxer. So if you just send it, hold it down and send it. And if you make a mistake, don't worry about it because I know on Boxer you can't delete them. So yeah, don't worry. But like what I want you to keep in your mind is, you know, verbs, Nahna Cancha. And then if there's one of the pictures out of the 6 that you can maybe throw in a Mo look. As always, I do have the notes up there, so they are there for you to go use. I'm not going to give you like actual homework tasks just as we're coming to the end of the year because I know you're studying for your tests and I just think it's too much on you, okay? But if you get time, please do send this script on to me. But as always, if there's anything else that you need me to correct or look over, send me a message on Voxer. Say, look, I threw something up into my student folder. Will you have a look at it for me? I'll either do written feedback on it or a video feedback on it, one or the other. Okay. So just so you know, like there is never any issue with that. Just contact me and just make sure to leave me a message because sometimes I don't see them otherwise.